So over the years, the way skate content is created has changed a lot. It's gone from magazine photos to VHSs to DVDs to YouTube edits to now the short form vertical videos. I grew up and got into skating when it was switching from DVDs to YouTube, so that's obviously a bit of a nostalgia for me. But today I wanted to dive into whether our new pros should bother focusing on making old street part edits or just completely forget about edits and fully focus on short form vertical content. Because Instagram Reels has been dominating action sports as of recently. It's the go-to place to post all your clips of skating, whether that's street or at the park. Now most people in action sports, but particularly in blading, are older at this point. Despite that, most people aren't stuck in the past and are happily embracing this new age of skating content. And right now, a lot more reels are being made than long form edits. Now, the reason I think that is comes down to two things. Number one is that it's just easy to do. All you have to do is have a cell phone, which everyone has, film a clip vertically, and you can post that shit straight onto Instagram for hundreds of thousands of people to see. Versus making an edit for YouTube, you gotta have a cameraman most likely, you gotta have the time, you gotta know how to edit, you gotta learn how YouTube even works to upload it, you gotta learn how to package the content, although no one really does that with thumbnails and titles. It is usually more like a month or more of skating and work and editing to make that happen, which is obviously a huge barrier to entry. And a lot of pro skaters don't make their own edits too, so they usually rely on someone else to do it. The other reason I think is just purely numbers. Instagram Reels massively ratio views on YouTube. For example, if we go check out Alex Brosco, if we go to his Instagram, his random posts of clips get around up to 100-something thousand views every so often. But his latest edit, which came out 3 months ago, only has about 20,000 views. Now that's 5 times less than just doing throwaway random clips posted up on his Instagram. This would obviously really encourage you to just go out and skate street and get someone to film with the camera and post on Instagram. It seems to have more reach. I do want to give props to Brosco too, because I do like his style of making skating content. What he does is he usually puts a clip in his story when he gets it that day, I assume, which obviously disappears after a day. And then after he's done that for a while and he's got a good chunk of clips, he uploads that straight to Instagram as like a montage. And he does still make edits too. He made the other one before, but I can tell it's not a priority for him. He focuses on Reels. And it's got to come down to the views, right? Quick side note, I do want to dive into the fact that Instagram Reels is the app of choice for action sports, and why I think that is. Because it is a very saturated market right now. There is many apps that you can post vertical content to, but Reels seems to be the choice for all action sports. And I think that purely comes down to the fact that Instagram still respects who you follow as a user of the platform. This means you can still niche out. Unlike the other vertical platforms like YouTube Shorts or TikTok, from my experience, those, if you want to have content do numbers on there, you have to target a broad audience because it's just going to the algorithm randomly going out. Whereas on Instagram, you can niche out because it'll still get to your followers, which allows you to just post pure skating clips. You don't have to kind of muddy the waters by trying to make it entertainment, which I think adds a lot of value to that platform. So I do, even though Meta sucks in so many ways, we're pretty lucky that they haven't given up on that kind of form yet, and we have a place to just post the best of the best clips without having to do here's my top 10 clips kind of cringe stuff, Now the short form vertical style content has a lot of value to give back to action sports. It seems to have a lot of reach. There's quite a few young skaters that have got a lot of success out of only doing vertical content. But should it be the only thing that our pro skaters focus on? Should they completely forget about doing a full part street edit? Now I think they shouldn't. I think they should still put out YouTube edits. Now maybe I'm a bit biased here, but nostalgic for the time I got into skating. But to me, the street part edit that you make of yourself is it's the end all of being a street skater or even a park skater. The edit is supposed to represent the best of you. And I think it has got a whole lot more value to give than a Instagram reel or a throwaway vertical video. For starters, I think there's a whole lot more craft to making an edit. There's not always is, but to bring an idea together, I know I'm saying so many words for just a montage of doing tricks on something you ride. To me, there's so much art form to the music choice, the editing choice, and to filming and just everything about it. There's so much more to that can bring so much more value and have a much more lasting effect than just clips filmed on a camera posted on Instagram to be forgotten about in 20 minutes. I believe that edits have a whole lot more staying power than reels. Now I have a terrible memory when it comes to skating, believe it or not, but I can easily remember edits that have really had impact on the way, making me want to skate and how I want to skate. Like off the top of my head right now, a huge standout one to me is Pud Slide, Joe Atkinson's one. And also for the birds. Now, if I try to do the same for reels, I can't think of any, dude. And even if I could think of them, how do I even describe it to you? Reels have so much less staying power in my mind. And I think if that's all we have, then it's going to be a lot harder to keep track of like the progression of skating and to keep things going forward because it's so fleeting. Like I want to do a test here. I'm going to put this as a community post. I probably have, but also tell me in this video, can you name a reel that like really blew your mind recently? Like, can you name it? Is there any that come to your mind? You think reel of skating that like encouraged you to skate and inspired you? And do you find it easier to think of an edit that does that versus a reel? Because I definitely find it edit easier. Maybe I'm wrong though, but anyway. I also think people shouldn't be discouraged by the lower view count of edits because I do believe the views don't have the same value. Both these videos have very different ways that you discover them, so it's pretty hard to make them equivalent. So on YouTube, for it to count as a view, you need to actively click on a thumbnail and watch a video. On Instagram Reels, it's much more passive. You're usually just scrolling through a feed and it auto plays for you. I think this inflates the views on Instagram quite a lot and definitely takes away from the value of the views you get on Reels versus YouTube. I think a much more fair comparison would be to do YouTube impressions versus Instagram Reel views because they're a lot more similar. So an impression, if you don't know, on YouTube is anytime you see a thumbnail or a title of the video. Doesn't matter if it's on the home page, the subscription page, or the channel page. Every single time you see it, it counts as an impression. And that pretty well lines up with Instagram with anytime you play a reel, it counts, which is anytime you're scrolling through the feed, it starts playing. The only difference is if you go to someone's like actual page and you look at the reels and they're not playing, that doesn't count as a view, where it would count as an impression if it was on the channel page on YouTube. And I do wonder, I don't want YouTube to do this, but if they did switch out views for impressions, whether that would have an impact on how many edits and how much YouTube content people make. Because if we go back to the example of Alex Brosco, his edit here is 20,000 views. If I pull up an example of one of my videos, you'll see that this amount of views has a very similar amount of impressions as the Instagram Reels that Alex Brosco puts up. I know this probably doesn't mean anything, but I wish that the numbers didn't put people off. If you don't get thousands and thousands of views on your edit, don't be discouraged. Any amount of views, you're making an impact, you know? And if you put in the work and do the skating, you will get views. It doesn't matter how small you are. If you have a meaningful, good skating edit with something mind-blowing in it, you will get views, trust me. So even though making a YouTube edit does take a lot more effort and time and does seem to have less reach, don't let the somewhat inflated numbers put you off from still making edits. Because if you're weighing up the views on a reel, which are essentially just impressions, I think you're giving impressions too much value. Because just think about how many things you've just scrolled past that didn't make any impact on you at all, or how many times you saw a thumbnail on YouTube but didn't actually click on it. It means nothing, you know? It shouldn't be a motivating factor. I also find that skaters that only do reels, I sometimes never even hear about. Again, maybe it's just me. I could be an outlier here. But just as a pure example, Jeff Downes, Skater of the Year this year, absolutely insane skater, purely focuses on vertical content and has some just ridiculously good clips. But hasn't put out edit in like, I don't even know, like 8 years or something. And for that reason, he's definitely under the radar for me. And obviously, it's just me. I do everything I see of my life. He's a good skater. I don't see this as a downplay. But I think this shows a flaw in only focusing in one place. Now, that also reflects on the other way because there are skaters who only do full part edits. And I think they also miss out on this too. They feel less present as well. Like, for example, another one of my favorite skaters, Josiah Blee. He's always in these full part big edits with some insanely good skating, some of the best in the world. But he has no like vertical content presence at all, at least as far as I know. I could be wrong about that. And that makes it seem like it's hard to know if he's still skating, you know, which sucks. So to me, what I think pros should do in this day and age is do both. I think there's room to do both, and it is important to do both. You need to do reels to show that you're still active and out there, but also do edits to keep that like long lasting impact and have like a very easy like accountability and the way to show off how good you are at skating and more memorable moments from your skating career, you know? This is what you should do, okay? You should film a full part edit like Sean Casso does, then clip it down for reels after. Then you have some short form content as well that highlights the best of the best bits and gets people to maybe go check out the edit. It's like a good loop there. You can easily do both. A lot of long like shot non-fisheye clips, even fisheye, crops super well into vertical. The only problem there is you need to have that footage and you need to know how to edit it and how to crop it down, which obviously you don't need to do if you just get someone to film with a camera in the street. Not that you should only repackage content for Reels. I think it's also quite important to do make original stuff just for Reels too, because that does do better. We see that happen with the example with Josiah here. All his recent posts are cropped down footage that other people who have tagged him in pretty much in a collaborator post. And I can see that all the posts that are actually filmed on a camera that he's directly posted ratio those posts, except for the exception of Tom Moyes, who is like the top of Rollerblading right now. And don't even get me started on these edits that have been posted to Reels, whether they make you turn your phone or they crop it all the way down to this huge black bars on the top and the bottom. Who actually watches videos like this? I've never done it. I find it so unbearable compared to the YouTube experience. If you're going to post an edit to Reels, do it vertically. It has to be a vertical video, like this great example by Dan here. I don't think I can ever understand doing like some crazy ass shit in the street and only filming it vertically on a phone to just post later. Like, that is so future thinking to me. Like, I just could not imagine a world where I'm in the streets doing some scary ass trick and I'm like, just film this on the phone. If I'm doing something hard in the street, it needs to be filmed horizontally. Maybe I'll crop it vertically after, but it's a throwaway if I do it the other way. Otherwise it's a throwaway clip, so I better not be trying, you know. I don't mean to discourage Reels here though, because I do think they're quite important and they do offer a lot of value with the reach and the ease of use they have. It's so much easier for anyone in the world to be able to post a reel and get skating in front of people versus having to film and make an edit. That's a big barrier for entry that a lot of people might not even have the options to do that. And the thoughts of people just not being able to post skating at all because I don't want them to do Reels is stupid. I think Reels do have a lot to offer. I know firsthand it can be quite overwhelming to try do it all, and you kind of can't. You really need to take some and leave some for focusing on making content for skating. But I just think that edits are too important for the skating culture, and also like keeping it easy to build up and easy to rewatch record of your own personal achievements in skating to leave them in the past. I think they're still too important and still beat out Reels and that feat. And I really hope that the next age of aggressive skaters and action sports people, if we're lucky to have any at this point, don't give up on the edits, because I think, to me, they're so important. But that's my thoughts on that whole thing. Maybe I'm the radio star complaining about the TV stars coming up in the world. And maybe I'm super backwards thinking about this. This could be a boomer take. Please let me know if it is. And also, please give me a list of some memorable reels if you have any. I would need to see these. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you so much. Massive thank you to my patrons for making this video possible. Couldn't do it without their support. If you want to help me make stupid videos like this, consider checking out my Patreon. But yeah, more than anything, make sure you go for a skate today, land some new tricks, and I'll see you out there. Appreciate you. See you later.